When I was 15 years old, I started learning English in school. At the beginning, it was very hard for me. I could not understand the words and everything sounded strange. My teacher, Mrs. Johnson, always said, "Do not worry. Learning a language takes time." She was very patient and kind. One day, she told us something that changed the way I learned. She said, "If you want to learn English, you must listen first. Do not try to understand every word. Just listen. Feel the sounds and how people talk. Later, you will start to understand more." She also told us to practice speaking every day. She said, "Say the words out loud. Do not be afraid to make mistakes. It is okay to say it wrong. The important thing is to practice." She made us repeat simple sentences like, "Hello, how are you?" or "I am fine, thank you." We practiced these sentences many times until we felt comfortable saying them. Mrs. Johnson also gave us advice. She said, "Find something you love and do it in English. If you like music, listen to songs in English. If you like movies, watch them with subtitles in English. You will learn more if you enjoy it." At first, I felt nervous and shy. I was scared to speak in front of others because I thought I would say something wrong. But Mrs. Johnson always encouraged me. She said, "Do not be shy. English is to use, not to keep in your head." Little by little, I started to understand more. I listened to conversations, repeated words, and watched movies in English. I noticed that my pronunciation was better, and I could understand simple sentences. Mrs. Johnson was right. Listening and speaking every day helped me improve. Now I feel proud of how far I have come. I always remember what Mrs. Johnson said. If you listen, practice, and do not give up, you will speak English. This is my story, and I hope it helps you too. Do not be afraid to start. You can do it. How John accidentally learned. English John was 18 years old when he moved to the United States. He came from a small town in Mexico where he had never needed to speak English. At first, he thought everything would be easy, but soon he realized that living in the United States was very different. John needed a job to pay for his rent and food, but every time he went to ask for work, people spoke to him in English. He could not understand them, and they could not understand him. He felt very frustrated. One day, after another failed attempt to find a job, he sat on a park bench and started to think, "How will I live here if I cannot speak English?" While sitting there, a girl named Maria saw him. She recognized him because they lived in the same apartment building. Maria was friendly and said, "Hi, John. Why do you look so sad?" John answered in Spanish, "I cannot find a job. I do not speak English and I feel lost." Maria smiled and said, "Do not worry. I was like you when I came here 3 years ago. I will help you." Maria told John her story. She also came to the United States not knowing any English, but she worked hard and learned little by little. She said, "The first thing you need to do is listen to people. Do not worry about understanding everything. Just listen to how they talk." Maria gave John simple tips to start learning. She said, "When you go to a store, listen to how people order food. Listen to how they greet each other. Repeat the words in your head. Then, when you feel brave, try to say them yourself." John decided to follow Maria's advice. The next day, he went to a coffee shop. He did not know how to order, so he pointed to a picture on the menu and said, "This, please." The cashier smiled and said, "Okay, 1 coffee." John repeated, "1 coffee." He felt proud because it was his first English word in public. Maria also told him, watch TV shows in English. Even if you do not understand, it will help you. When I started, I watched cartoons because they use easy words. John thought it was a good idea. Every night he watched a cartoon and repeated the words he could hear. He also started listening to music in English and tried to sing along. One day, Maria invited John to her house. She said, "Let's practice together." She taught him how to say simple phrases like, "Hello, my name is John," or "I am looking for a job." They practiced for hours. Maria laughed when John made mistakes, but she always helped him fix them. After a few weeks, John felt more confident. He went to another store to ask for a job. This time he practiced before going. When the manager asked, "Do you have experience?" John said slowly, "No, but I want to learn." The manager smiled and said, "Okay, come tomorrow at 9 a.m. John was so happy that he ran to tell Maria. Maria said, "See? You can do it. Learning English takes time, but if you listen, practice, and do not give up, you will improve every day." John kept learning while working at the store. He listened to his co-workers and tried to copy how they talked. Sometimes he made mistakes, but they helped him. Months later, John could have simple conversations. John always thanked Maria for helping him. She said, "I just showed you the way, but you are the one who worked hard." Now John speaks better English and feels more comfortable living in the United States. He always tells people, "Do not be afraid to learn. Listen, practice, and speak. Little by little, you will get better." This is how John accidentally had to learn English. At first, he did not want to learn, but life gave him no choice. In the end, he is happy he did.